Your instinct may be to avoid telling your children that you're having surgery because you just don't want to worry them. However, talking to your children together about having surgery, about what that means, and what your recovery is going to look like is only going to help you, and it's definitely going to help your children. In this video, I'm going to talk to you why it's so important to talk to your children. I'm going to help you with some common questions that most children have about surgery. And then if you stick around, I'm going to give you actual specific examples that you can use when working with older children or even younger children. Grab a piece of paper and let's get into it. If you're a parent, you know that children just have questions about life in general, and they're like sponges. They just absorb everything around them. They're observing, and they're observing you in your situation with your weight loss surgery. They have lots of questions, believe it or not. So it's so important that you are prepared and actually have that conversation with them. The first time you talk with your children probably will not be the last time you talk about your surgery. Talking openly and often with your children before, during, and after having surgery will just help everyone involved. It will help everyone to cope with the changes that are to come. It helps to ease their stress, but also your own. But I get it. What do you say? How much do you say? So let's get right into it. Why is it important to talk to my children about having bariatric surgery? Bariatric surgery is life-changing. It's life-changing not only for you, but for your children and your loved ones and your family and friends that are also along the journey with you, especially children who have no control or really say about the situation. The fact is, you're going to lose weight quickly and very fast. They may worry that you're sick. Worrying that you're possibly sick will just stress them out and make them worry more. Open and honest communication increases the trust and shows them that you respect them in the decision and allows them to lessen their stress and fear about the situation. As you know, children and especially teenagers express their internal dialogue, their internal fear, their stress, their worry in many different ways. Some use words, while others actually use actions to communicate what they're thinking and what they're scared about. Try to encourage your children to ask questions. No silly question, no dumb question. Make them feel safe enough to ask any type of question so that you can address them and address their concerns. Try not to argue about your decision about having the surgery. Now, there may be no perfect time, but find a good place and time where you're uninterrupted, undisrupted, and that you can be able to have your children feel comfortable and safe in asking those questions. Really think about beforehand the most stress-free way and place that you can have an honest conversation. It will all depend on your family dynamics. Is it more important to have a formal family meeting about it, or is it more applicable to you and your family to have kind of more of a casual conversation? Be prepared for any distractions. You just don't want to be distracted during this important conversation. Turn off cell phones, computers, televisions. Really encourage your teenage children turn off all their devices as well. You want full attention so that you can observe, you're not distracted, and you can really focus on what they're saying and even what they're not saying. So let's talk about some common questions that most children have, be it as a teenager or as a younger child. Let's talk them through and get some examples so that you can prepare yourself on what your answer is to some of these common questions. Of course, you have to be age appropriate. Your teenage child is going to have different common questions than your younger child, but there's usually some kind of theme generally across the two age levels. The big one, the main one is just why are you having surgery? Children are asking you why you're having surgery because they're just genuinely curious. They might be feeling a little protective. They maybe have heard and overheard some of the conversations you've had with friends, other family members, your spouses, your partners. Or maybe they just are worrying about their own weight and their own situation. When you answer this question and whatever words that you need to answer this question, really try to remember to focus on the health benefits, the health reasons, not the weight issues, not how you're going to look, not about what your number on the scale is going to be. It's really about health, the overall well-being, and what you want to be able to do once you lose the weight. Don't focus on what you want to look like, what your weight number, your goal weight's going to be. Really focus on the health benefits. This will help them be less sensitive about body image issues that maybe they're experiencing, they're seeing you maybe have in the past. You really want to focus on what's the over well-being that you are trying to achieve. Now, you got to make sure that you're a little prepared. Your answer to this question, why are you having surgery, has to be prepared in your own words, and you have to be pretty clear on why you're having that surgery before you start having that conversation with children. As we said, the goal, the focus is on being healthy. Healthy doesn't mean a certain weight. Healthy doesn't mean a certain body type. Healthy doesn't mean a certain goal weight or BMI chart category. Healthy is about feeling well, and it has to include the physical, mental, and emotional side as well. Healthy looks different to every person. So, for example, if you're speaking to younger children, you might want to say, I'm getting a surgery on my stomach so that I can feel better and I can be more healthy and spend more time with you. You could say something like this: the doctor and I have had a long conversation, and we both agree that having surgery on my stomach is going to help me be more healthier. It's going to help me feel better. It's going to help me move better. It's going to help me be able to play with you more, to be able to do the things that we want to do. The surgery on my stomach will help me have more energy. I'll be able to do more things in the park or play sports with you or go on vacation. I'll be much healthier, so I don't have to take as many medications as I am taking now. When will you have weight loss surgery? Tell your children way ahead of having surgery. Don't leave it to the last minute and then kind of spring it on them. Prepare, plan, and have that conversation way before the surgery date. With that being said, don't tell them way too early. Allow enough appropriate time so that they can think about it, but not overthink, and be able to ask those questions that they have. It might take a bit for them to kind of come up with those questions. You just don't want to have it too early so that they are stressing the whole time and building up a situation or assuming something that really is not true. Now, it might be best to tell teenagers earlier than maybe the younger ones, because as we know, some teenagers take a lot of time to kind of, they'll tell you that, oh, they don't care, oh, not a big deal, but they just need some time to actually kind of mull it over. They might be doing their own, research, or maybe they've heard things from other friends. So you just want to allow teenagers that time to kind of get over that, like, I don't care situation, and be able to have the time to process. And then with your encouragement, you're going to ask them to ask the questions so that you can give them your answers. Be sure to talk to your children only when you're sure that you're making this surgery decision and that you have your surgery date. We all know that things kind of happen. It might be your control or maybe out of your control. For whatever reason, the surgery date gets postponed or whatever that reason is. Don't have this conversation with your children until you for sure know that you're having the surgery, you've decided, and you're going to move forward, and that you actually have the surgery date. Now, reassure your children that you know what you're doing, that your doctors and nurses know what they're doing, that their whole mission and goal is to take super great care of you. So let them know how long you're going to be in the hospital. Let them know if they can visit you in the hospital. So you're going to have to make sure you know these kind of answers to these questions before. So this is part of the preparation stage as well. And kind of do your own investigation. You might not be perfect, but kind of give them a general idea of what to expect if they are going to visit you in the hospital, or what they can expect that kind of first day when you arrive home, or those first kind of couple days when you arrive home. As you know, as parents for younger children, Keep the words and the phrases and the concepts as simple as possible. Of course, explain what they can expect, but also that there might be changes that happen to the plan, and that's okay as well. Reassure them because this is what's in their mind, even the teenagers, that they're going to be okay, that everything's going to be okay. You can say something like this: My doctor and I are going to make some changes to my stomach. This is what's going to happen. I'm going to be at the hospital for this amount of time. This is what's going to happen when you're at home. So, if you have a partner or a loved one, explain who that is, how they're going to take care of you. If they're going to be able to visit you, maybe they can't. It'll depend on your situation or what you want. And if the plan is they're going to visit you, make sure that they understand what is it going to look like. Some of our children have never been in a hospital. It can be very intimidating for them. So you just want to prepare them. Maybe you go and take a visit in a hospital if they've never been in one to kind of get an idea of what it looks like, what it feels like. It's different than what they're used to. So maybe the plan is they can't visit, or you don't want them to visit you while you're having the surgery or right after having surgery. I'm going to be away having surgery. The doctor and nurses are going to take care of me, and and then you're going to insert your partner or your loved one or your family member or your friend that's going to take care of them, and then discuss about what kind of things they can do while you're having surgery. What kind of, maybe it's time to have them do their favorite activity so that they can kind of focus on something else versus just spend the whole time focusing on what they assume is happening to you while they're away from you. Now, older children and teenagers, maybe after they kind of do the whole thing of like, I don't care or not a big deal, and they're thinking about it, maybe they're going to have questions and encourage these questions about the details of the surgery. They're a little bit older. This is not their first rodeo in life. They know that things can happen. So you really need to have an honest conversation so that they don't make the assumptions, but you're addressing the concerns. Be honest and open as much as you can. You know your children best, but be transparent. Don't try to avoid certain details. You just need to find that balance between you don't want to scare them, but you also want to be able to address the concerns about the details that they have about surgery. You can maybe start the conversation with things like, have you ever heard of bariatric surgery before? What do you think that means? Then use the basic facts of surgery and use language that they can understand. You might have to use videos that are age appropriate for your children. Maybe you're going to use images and maybe you just have to draw it out for them. Sometimes visuals are super important to get kind of the brain to understand concepts that they're just not familiar with. That's how they do it in school. So, this would be another example of that. Remember to allow time for them to absorb the information, ask the questions, give them appropriate answers, but then come back and revisit it. Because a lot of us, even as adults, we need some time to absorb that. And then another set of questions might come up. And you want to be able to have the time, make the effort, schedule the time to have kind of a follow-up conversation so that you can address any further concerns they may have. Now, that pre-op diet, that is a weird situation for all of us, including bariatric patients, but for children as well. So you're going to be eating differently than typically than the family. You're going to be drinking all these protein shakes and you're going to be restricting and you're going to be removing yourself a lot of times. You just want to have those conversations. You want to explain, like, don't ignore or assume that they'll understand what those protein shakes are. Explain what they are, what they're doing for you. Explain why you have to be on a liquid diet. It's about preparing your body to make the surgery safer for you and the surgeon. It's what your doctor wants you to do. Just using age appropriate conversation and language. But don't forget these little pieces, this pre op diet, why you have to remove yourself, why you're not eating the same things as your children. This is one that you don't want to avoid, but it's really a common question. And if they don't even ask it, you want to make sure you address it anyways. Who's going to take care of me? Now, even as a teenager, it might be obvious that it is your spouse or your partner or your loved one, but you want to make sure that this is addressed so that they understand. Because it might be a situation where your partner or your loved one is going to go to the hospital with you. And who's going to take care of them while you're at the hospital? Just let them know that there is a plan in place for them while you are away. Okay, now let's talk about after surgery. Most likely, you're going to feel pretty tired. You're going to feel maybe a little weak after surgery. You are healing, your body's adjusting. It's all normal, but it can look a little scary to your family members and especially your children. It's helpful to let them know that you are recovering, that you are healing, that the doctor and the nurses are aware of this, that as we talked about before, prepare them as much as you can, but really during this stage, really address their fears because you're going to not look the same. You're not going to act the same. You might be tired and weak and maybe even a little grumpy. You're going to look a little different. So you just want to address the situation. Tell them how they can support you. Kids want to help. So tell them, how can they support you? Does that mean don't jump on me? Does that mean you can do this? Bring my favorite blanket. You just want to find where a place where they can help you recover, allow them to take care of you, but not that that is their sole job. Their sole job is not to be your nurse. You want them to feel like they can provide, make you feel better, uh, allow them to kind of give what they can, but you don't want to make them your primary caregiver. Now you're going to be on a liquid diet and you're going to definitely be portion control moving forward. So you want to let children know, like you did with the pre op diet, you want to let them know about this as well. It's a super important topic to cover with children. They wanna understand. They've seen you eat a lot different before, probably bigger portions, maybe eating behaviors that you weren't even fully aware of. They're gonna see a dramatic change now, and they're gonna wonder why. So you wanna get them to understand that it's all about the healing process. It's what your doctor has told you to do, and it's all helping you to get healthy. It kind of slowly allows them to adjust as well. Now, we need to talk a little bit here about side effects. Not everybody's going to have side effects. Not everybody's going to have crazy side effects. Some of us do in certain levels at certain stages. So, age appropriately, again, you want to explain these side effects as they come up. You want to put it in the reference of health. You don't want to put it in a scary, fearful thing. But remember, kids are like sponges and they're watching you and they're observing, and you don't want them to jump to conclusions or you know Dr. Google trying to scare them into what it is when really that's not what it is. So you want to make sure you're explaining those side effects as they come up. If all possible, start making those long term changes before even having surgery and allow your children to observe and see some of those things. It'll just make it easier for adjustment after having surgery. Talk to your children about their hopes about the changes. Ask them if mom or dad is having the surgery to be healthy, what does that mean for them? Brainstorm new activities with this new kind of health, this new venture moving forward. What do they want to hope for? What do they want to see happen? You can always suggest that they journal or they draw out their feelings. Sometimes art therapy, journaling words is easier than having that conversation. Just remember to spend time, allow them to do that in whatever, passion or way that they want to do that to express in words or art, but then remember to come back and talk about it. Just shows that you're interested in what they have to say. It shows that you're interested in what they're thinking about. It shows that they can be safe in asking you the questions that they need to ask. Silly or as silly as they may be, but you want to make sure that you're addressing them in the most kind of calm and easy way. I get it. Having bariatric surgery brings up a lot of questions for a lot of people, including your family members, your loved ones, and even your coworkers. And there's some naysayers out there, isn't there? Check out this video to help you handle with that as well. Click on the link or touch the screen now.